Today, I'm going to try and rescue two ColecoVision cartridges from my house fire. They're both copies of Looping, which is a ColecoVision version of a 1982 arcade game. One of them is really badly burned. The other one looks slightly less awful, which still isn't a glowing review. Before the fire, I think that one of these didn't work and I don't know which one, so this might be a restoration, or I might just be polishing to smoke flavoured ornaments. But let's find out right now. Mark fixes stuff. I think I'm going to start with the less burnt one first. Now this doesn't look great, but considering that it was in a house fire, it's not actually that bad. It won't fit in a ColecoVision because it's a funny shape now, but the board inside looks okay. Let's see if we can remove the two screws. It goes without saying there's no point trying to save this label, and we'll try and make a new one. This screw turns, but never seems to come out. Let's remove some of the paper around the hole. Nope, that's not going anywhere. Nope. Just spinning around like 90s Kylie. Okay, let's try the right side screw. Removing the screws will make it easier to break open the shell. Here goes nothing. And this one actually comes out really easily. Sometimes I reuse these screws, but these are a bit manky. Looks like this game had some tenants once. Okay, time for some brute force and ignorance. Oh my goodness. Oh wow, that was a lot easier than I was expecting. Minimal melting together near a broken screw post, and that screw still hasn't come out. I don't think I'll bother with that one though, it looks really rusty. A close look at the PCB reveals that it doesn't look too bad. The edge connector fingers don't look much dirtier than, well, just a general ColecoVision cartridge, but we can see evidence of smoke ingress here. That's where the heated soot has got inside the shell, but I don't think it's damaged anything. So if this was the working game, then it might still be working. We will need to clean all of this up though. But it's really not looking too bad. A look underneath the chips, we can see some contaminants, but nothing that a quick session with Kylie the ultrasonic cleaner can't fix. Kylie's full of cleaning solution right now. It's not new and fresh, but it should be okay. These boards are sooty after all. Whilst I clean up, I'd like to give a big thanks to PCBWay. PCBWay have kindly sponsored this video and provided the 3D printing services we'll see later. Visit PCBWay.com to see all of their services. So our second cartridge looks like a bag of proverbial and we need to remove the two screws. The first screw simply will not budge. So I went straight for the other one to see if it was any easier. And it was. I don't want to reuse that. I then start looking for a way to open the mangled mess. The PCB already looks quite bad, so I don't want to make it any worse. Let's try that screw again. No. It won't even turn. This is going to get messy, so let's move the other PCB out of the way. Bits are already dropping off. Again, I've come to the conclusion that brute force and ignorance is the best plan. And et voila, that was easier than any cartridge that I've ever had to open before from the fire. Let's take a look at the PCB. The first thing that strikes me is that this PCB and the chips and the markings are exactly the same as the other PCB. I wonder if all copies of Looping were the same, or if there are minor variations and this is a coincidence. Anyway, back to our more burned up board. We can see high temperature soot damage along the top. That's when superheated gases embed soot into the surface. The good news is that the heat and water damage haven't caused the PCB material to swell or split. In a lot of my cartridges, the heat from the fire and the dousing by the firefighters has caused the PCB material to expand. Even ultrasonic cleaners have trouble with soot. The particles are super embedded on the surface, and the all-important cavitation process of ultrasonic cleaning can't get underneath the contaminants. But with all that said, the ultrasonic cleaner will make a good start. Terry, Dave, do you know where Kylie is? You do? She's behind me. Awesome! This is Kylie the ultrasonic cleaner. I've set her to 64 degrees. I call this ultrasonic cleaner Kylie because it's small and incredibly versatile, very much like Miss Minogue. It's not the real Kylie. I should be so lucky. Right, I've already used this fluid, it's got ultrasonic cleaning solution in it and it's a bit grotty, but seeing as our boards are covered with soot, I think that will be okay. Kylie has 2 transducers, so just for my own peace of mind I'm making sure that the board is located over one of them directly. Is this one ready to go, lads? Thanks. As we've already seen, this board isn't nearly as bad as the other one, but we'll give it a blast. We're not going to be able to see much, I'm afraid. Even with the polarizing lens on, you can't really see what's going on in the water. I will pull them out occasionally and let you have a look though. After 2 minutes on our dirtiest board, there's not much change, although we can see a little bit of progress. The less contaminated PCB is starting to look really nice already though. Even after the ultrasonic, I will clean these edge connection fingers with a fibreglass pencil. Time passes. It's 5 minutes later. Our cleaner PCB is actually starting to look pretty decent. In fact, if I was in a rush, I'd just buff this up now. And despite how it looks, our dirtier PCB is also really coming along nicely. I've decided to give these another 10 minutes, making a total of 15 minutes cleaning time. Whilst we're waiting, let's sort out a label in Photoshop. I've made a ColecoVision label sized document at 7 by 9.2 centimeters. That's at 360 pixels per inch. I then made a new layer and filled it with black. Using the marquee tool, I rounded the edges. I'm intending to cut this out on a Cricut Maker 3, so that transparency is important to get the rounding. The Cricut will basically take in a PNG and ignore any transparency. Let's turn off the black label backing for a moment so I can show you the middle panel. Again, this is a rounded rectangle, but I've put a white stroke around the outside. As with most tasks in Photoshop, there's many ways to achieve the same result, but I like to do it this way because it gives me flexibility on the thickness of the stroke. Just so you know, I'm not trying to recreate the original label, and that's why I'm popping in my little phoenix icon here. I suppose if I was rebooting an 80s movie, I'd call this a reimagining of the source material. But really it's me just chucking some text up in Photoshop. The looping logo itself is taken from the cartridge box. It was a photo where I've removed the background and rebalanced all the colours. And once I have these elements in, by simply cloning and resizing those elements, I think we have a pretty decent label for our rescue cartridge. Now, I'm not a graphics design professional, so please don't moan at me in the comments about how this should be a vector. You're free to do that. I'm going to export my transparent PNG and import it into the frankly awful Cricut design software. This software thinks my image is massive. Luckily I know the exact dimensions, so I typed those in. I'm going to print too, because applying labels is exactly the sort of job where confidence causes mistakes. As we go to make these labels, I think a quick explanation is in order. I bought matte vinyl sticker paper from Temu, and they sent it to me folded in half through the post. So the only reliable way to print stickers on these is to print on the top half of those A4 sheets. In case you're wondering about waste, and yes, I did get a refund. Okay, that's all the work on the PC done, let's have a look at the printer. They've actually come out a bit darker than I'd like, but I do have a plan to gloss these up, which may make them pop a bit more. To use the Cricut, we have to align the document on a cutting mat. Easier said than done with one hand. Don't say it. Once it's stuck down, we'll pop it into the machine. It uses optical sensors and these black marks to know where to cut. Making sure the cutting mat is underneath these guides, I then press the feed button. Once the mat's fed, then we press the start button for it to go and cut. Once it's cut and ejected, I peel the backing off just so we can see where the stickers are. Not bad. To protect our print, I'll use a semi-gloss colour protection spray. I'll spray this outside because I don't want it all over the camera. I'm back, it's done. What do you think? It still has to dry in some areas, but I think it adds a nice sheen. Back over with Kylie, and our PCBs are as good as they're ever going to get. This was the worst of the two PCBs. I gave both the PCBs a dry off with a lint-free cloth. Once I'd finished swaddling my PCB, I grabbed my high-powered air duster and blew any water out of the remaining nooks and crannies. This battery-powered air duster actually gets pretty warm, so it's like a warm hairdryer, which is particularly handy for this job. Now you might be forgiven for thinking that this is the PCB out of the first cartridge, the less burned one. But you'd be wrong. This is actually the PCB from the first cartridge, which goes to show what a fantastic job Kylie the Ultrasonic cleaner made on our most burned PCB. It couldn't get some specks of black stuff off of the substrate, and that turned out to be burned plastic, which was easy to pick off. Well, mostly. With as much removed as possible, I then broke out the fibreglass pencil. Fibreglass is very abrasive, so needs to be used with care. However, when you have pitting from a house fire, it takes it off so nicely. I think it's incredible to imagine that the board on the left was the one from the most burned cartridge. Gratuitous sponsor shot. I hope you're enjoying this video. If you are, please come and support the channel at patreon.com/MarkFixesStuff. Thanks to PCBWay for the 3D print services. Let's pop in our two PCBs for testing. They fit snug. Then I pop on the top shell. This will clamp the PCB in place. I do the same thing to the other PCB and pop on its top shell. Let's screw them together. On the way back to the workbench, I dropped my screws all over the floor. They're really mixed up and I'll have to search through them all, unfortunately. I found these and they seem like a good match to the original screws that came out of the cartridge. But here's a teachable moment. In my haste, I picked up the wrong size screwdriver. You know when your screwdriver's too small because it cams out all the time. You know, when it slips. I thought I'd leave this in, just so you could see what I mean. In this demo, I'm trying to screw this together properly, genuinely, but you can see that the tip of my screwdriver keeps moving. And this is why you find lots of retro machines with stripped screws, simply not using the right screwdriver for the screw head. But in my defense, they're pretty similar looking. And using the appropriate number 2 screwdriver puts the joy back into screwing things together. If either of these cartridges work, I'll take that as a win. Terry and Dave want to go down the gummy bar for gummy beer, so they asked me to hurry up. The burned and bedraggled mutant carts look on in envy at the new kids on the block. They're hanging tough. First we'll try the most burnt cartridge. It's least likely to work. And I know my ColecoVision still needs cleaning. Yes! That's a great start, although games can show this but sometimes not run. Let's see if we can start the game. Ooh. Oh, yes! Quickly grab the controller. Okay. Even after having worked out that you have to pull back on the joystick to climb, like a real aircraft, my gameplay wasn't much better. To be honest, I don't know how to play this game, but I'm learning as I go along. I did play long enough, however, for me to say with confidence that this cartridge is working. I'm so pleased that this is now a playable game from a pile of burnt rubbish, but it deserves that label. Before I stick the label on, however, I'm going to bend it around the cartridge to make sure that I've got the top part of the label at the correct proportion. This makes sticking it on a lot easier. There's no alignment marks on the 3D printed shell. There's something so satisfying about this. The protective spray is doing its job really well. So, what do you think? I'm really pleased with it. I'm fully aware that looping is a really common title. It would have been easier to throw this in a dustbin, but that just didn't seem right. So, I guess that's the end of the video. Hang on a minute, we've forgotten something. What about that other cartridge? The one that didn't work before the fire. At least I assume that's the one that didn't work before the fire. I've no way of knowing. I know that I'll get a lot of moaning in the comments if I don't test this one as well, even though I'm pretty sure it wasn't working before the fire, so it's not going to work now, is it? And, as expected, hang on. What? The non-working cart gave me a black screen before. There's absolutely no way. But as Bill and Ted would say, way, because this car is also working. Yes! I was so pleased I decided to play the game a bit more. Turns out, even on this cartridge, I'm still terrible, but I did get a bit further. I then also put a label on our second cartridge. It deserves it. So fixers, what did you think of this project? I really enjoyed it. Would you have bothered, or would you have just bought a new copy of the cartridge? Let me know below. Massive thanks to my amazing patrons appearing on the screen right now. Patrons get ad-free early access to all my videos. I've put my bit of paper down somewhere. Patrons also get some other stuff. Patrons also get the incredible supernatural power to be able to tune in any CRT by thought alone. Really handy because I've lost all the remotes. That might be a lie. But no, I really have lost the remotes. Okay everyone, pop quiz. Abstract band names. Number 1. Panthera pardus, Can't Hear You. Number 2. Animal Retail Children. Number 3. Collective Coastal Chip Thieves. Number 4. Angel with a Sledgehammer. And 5. Flat and Even Meaning of Life. Well, you've reached the part of the video where I ask you to go and watch some more of my videos. Please do it, it really helps me. And don't forget to support the channel. Bye! Come on, go play down your own end of the street. Sick it screaming.